okay. It's okay.
Mom, I had a dream that I was replaced by a diverse woman.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movies.
What happens when a legendary studio invests hundreds of millions in reimagining their most treasured film, only to see it collapse at the box office? Disney insiders reveal emergency closed-door meetings following Snow White's catastrophic premiere, with shocking reports claiming executives want Rachel Zegler to reimburse them for portions of the loss.
Even if everything worked perfectly, it would have been almost impossible for this movie to succeed, because you're comparing it to one of the most beloved films of all time and a truly groundbreaking movie.
The opening weekend numbers tell a devastating story. Just $43 million domestically and $87 million worldwide, catastrophically low for a flagship Disney production with universal brand recognition. Even previous underperformers like Dumbo started stronger. The production budget reportedly exploded to between $170 to $270 million following numerous delays, reshoots, and on-set complications.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I watched it for the first time in probably 17 years.
But the most stunning developments are unfolding away from public view. Multiple sources confirm that after the disastrous premiere weekend, top executives gathered for crisis evaluation meetings. Conversations allegedly focused on whether Zegler's public statements constituted contractual violations. She decimated a billion-dollar property in less than 12 months, and we financed it. One executive reportedly exclaimed during a heated exchange. Legal teams are supposedly investigating whether morality clauses or media performance requirements in Zegler's agreement could allow them to recover portions of their investment.
Even if everything worked perfectly, it would have been almost impossible for this movie to succeed, because you're comparing it to one of the most beloved films of all time and a truly groundbreaking movie.
The path to disaster began almost immediately after the casting announcement. Stepping into Disney's original and most beloved princess role, Zegler faced enormous expectations. However, rather than honoring the legacy, her media appearances quickly triggered alarm bells throughout the fan community.
Eric, it's okay. It's okay.
Mom, I had a dream that I was replaced by a diverse woman.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy.
During interviews, Zegler characterized the original Snow White as creepy, criticized the classic romance storyline, and described the prince as a stalker. For generations who treasured the film, these weren't simply artistic critiques. They felt like direct insults to childhood memories. The original cartoon premiered in 1937, and it's extremely obvious. Zegler stated in one interview that went viral, "It heavily focuses on her romance with a man who essentially stalks her. Strange, strange, strange. That's why we eliminated it completely." Her delivery, widely perceived as arrogant and patronizing, alienated core audiences before promotional materials even released. What could have been positioned as thoughtful modernization instead registered as blatant disrespect toward animation history's foundation. The response was immediate. Social platforms erupted with hashtags like #NotMySnowWhite and #BoycottSnowWhite. Internet memes proliferated, featuring Zegler's image superimposed on classic Snow White scenes with sarcastic captions mocking her statements. Longtime Disney enthusiasts expressed betrayal over what seemed like an attack on a treasured classic. The controversy escalated when Zegler's previous political social media posts resurfaced. She had posted strongly worded criticisms about Donald Trump and his supporters, claiming they would never experience peace. For a company requiring universal appeal across political boundaries, this created a PR catastrophe. Suddenly, Snow White transformed from a fairy tale into another battlefield in the ongoing culture wars. Disney leadership reportedly panicked. Sources claim high-ranking producers were dispatched to personally meet with Zegler, imploring her to moderate controversial statements and remove divisive social media content. She purportedly declined, believing her personal viewpoints shouldn't be suppressed for corporate interests. Meanwhile, the production appeared cursed from the start. Industry strikes interrupted filming, COVID spread throughout the crew. Reports emerged about an actual fire outbreak on location. Every forward progress faced multiple setbacks, with costs mounting after each delay.
In addition to that, there was already an uproar about her being cast as Snow White because she is not Caucasian. She is a Latina. She is half Colombian. And so people were like, why were you cast in the first place? We just had a black Little Mermaid. Now we're having a Latina Snow White, and she's literally called Snow White. This doesn't make sense. Yeah, the entire film's about a love story. Yeah, I mean, it's about a love story because that's what the point of the film is. And I'm sorry that chivalry and a man pursuing you is now deemed as stalking, which now it's kind of making sense why men are opting out of the dating scene. As an actor, you don't get to dictate anything. You don't get to dictate if a film actually happens. You don't get to dictate when it is shot, how it is shot, if you can ever speak about it to the public. You are simply just there to show up and say your lines and look the way they want you to look.
When principal photography finally completed, warning signals flashed throughout the studio. Private screenings allegedly left executives worried about significant departures from the source material. Replacing the Seven Dwarfs with CGI magical beings sparked further controversy after Peter Dinklage criticized the original characters as offensive stereotypes. Despite everything I've accomplished in this industry, people still want to cast little people in strange costumes and makeup. Dinklage commented, "It's completely illogical." His remarks added another layer of controversy to an already troubled production. As release day approached, Disney's damage control efforts intensified. Zegler issued an apology attempting to soften previous comments, but the timing appeared calculated. Insiders suggest Disney's publicity team crafted significant portions of her statement, pressuring her to express regret to reduce audience backlash. The strategy failed dramatically. Skeptics rejected it entirely. The apology seemed manufactured, corporate crisis management rather than sincere reflection. Online communities analyzed every phrase, highlighting omissions and aspects that continued to antagonize fans.
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway. And that's when I started to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally, I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse?
Promotional events were reportedly reduced. Red carpet appearances became highly controlled. Disney feared additional unscripted comments from Zegler might worsen the situation. The premiere resembled a subdued screening rather than a major Hollywood celebration. Then came the harsh reality of opening weekend performance. The film not only missed projections, but failed to approach basic cost recovery. There were no unexpected positive audience reactions, no scenes gaining traction online, no redemption moments. Industry analysts quickly revised projections overnight, with many suggesting final box office totals might never reach profitability. For Zegler, the aftermath has been career-threatening. Hollywood sources whisper that Disney may terminate future collaborations. Some claim agreements have already been quietly canceled. Throughout the industry, producers reportedly consider her radioactive, concerned that casting her would generate controversy before production begins. Even co-stars have distanced themselves. Martin Kleba, who portrayed Grumpy, suggested in an interview that the controversy had stolen what should have been a celebration of their collective achievements. Today, Rachel Zegler reportedly stands devastated, allegedly emotional, after learning about the financial disaster surrounding the release. Sources indicate she believed this role would cement her status as Disney's rising star. Instead, she finds herself at the center of a corporate crisis. Her initial excitement completely overshadowed by the film's dramatic underperformance.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White.
That laugh.
That is
not going to be saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
it?
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
Our rights are on the line, folks.
Bitch! The
Our
right to buy
reproductive
Cosby
rights.
sweaters?
Come on.
That's the face
Go
of a
vote blue.
serial killer.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
What was marketed as Disney's next blockbuster triumph is now labeled one of their most disastrous financial failures in decades. The project was intended as a centerpiece of Disney's strategy to modernize animated classics for contemporary audiences. Instead, they created an expensive cautionary example of what happens when modern messaging overwhelms storytelling. Critics describe it not merely as a box office disappointment, but as a brand catastrophe that repelled both longtime fans and potential new viewers. The film, which possessed all theoretical ingredients for success, nostalgia, substantial budget, and fresh talent, instead became a focal point for controversy. Many suggest the failure stemmed from fundamental misjudgments regarding tone, casting decisions, and public relations. Social platforms overflow with theories as viewers dissect everything from production drama to studio decision-making, searching for explanations about how this seemingly invincible Disney machine could malfunction so dramatically. Snow White now represents a textbook example of disconnection from core audience expectations. From Zegler's provocative comments about the original to her controversial political statements and the film's substantial deviation from source material, the audience alienation wasn't coincidental. It was embedded within the project's fundamental approach. The consequences now force Disney to reconsider not just this specific release, but their entire live-action remake strategy. The Snow White debacle transcends typical box office analysis. It's become a cautionary Hollywood lesson. Underestimating your audience, disrespecting beloved properties, and mismanaging public platforms can't be overcome by any budget or brand recognition, especially when your production becomes synonymous with one of recent history's most significant financial failures. For Disney, this forces painful reassessment of their entire remake philosophy. For celebrities, it demonstrates that in today's social media environment, statements endure indefinitely, sometimes carrying unanticipated financial consequences. Will Rachel Zegler rebuild her career after this setback? Can Disney learn from this expensive mistake? What implications does this hold for future classic reimaginings? The fairy tale conclusion everyone anticipated has transformed into a cautionary narrative that will reverberate throughout Hollywood for years. What's your opinion? Can Zegler recover from this catastrophe, or has the Snow White controversy permanently damaged her career? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more Hollywood insights. Thanks for watching.